علينا تعلم أربع مسائل. No, may Allah have mercy upon you, that it is obligatory upon us to learn four issues or four matters, four masail. So we had a speech regarding the basmala and its meaning and the difference between the basmala and the tasmiyah. Does anybody remember what is al basmala? When we say the basmala, what does that refer to? Oh, okay. And the tasmiyahs, right? What is the tasmiyah? How do you say it? Just bismillah. Okay. Just bismillah is the tasmiyah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is called al basmala. And there are certain times when the tasmiyah is said, certain times when al basmala is said. We also discussed the meaning of usul, right? And why it is important for us to learn usul, or learn the fundamental principles of any science that we intend to study. If we are studying aqidah, we need to learn the fundamental principles of aqidah. We're studying fiqh, we need to know and understand the usul of fiqh in order to be understand the branches of fiqh properly. We're studying hadith, we're studying Arabic language. Whatever we are studying, we should start with the usul of that science. And we likewise discuss why the author referred to them as masail, right? He referred to them as masail because it's incumbent upon us to ask about and inquire regarding these issues. Okay, so now we get into him defining what these four things are that is obligatory upon us to learn. And so he says, al-ula al-ilm. The first thing that is incumbent upon us to know is al-ilm, is knowledge. It's incumbent upon us to know knowledge, have knowledge of knowledge. قوله, his statement al-ilm. Sheikh Salih Fawzan, he mentions concerning his statement al-ilm, al-muradu bil-ilm huna huwa al-ilm al-shar'i. What is intended by al-ilm, or knowledge here, it is legislative knowledge. As we mentioned in the last sitting, that anytime we're speaking about knowledge and it's left like that, we're not attaching another word to it, then what is intended by way of that knowledge is al-ilm al-shar'i, or legislative religious knowledge, right? If you're speaking about another type of knowledge, you have to attach another word to it, where it is ilm al-handasa, knowledge of engineering, or knowledge of tib, ilm al-tib, knowledge of medicine, knowledge of whatever it may be. You have to attach another word to it in order to qualify it. But when the word ilm is left like this, especially in the text of the legislation, Kitab and Sunnah, what's being spoken about here is religious knowledge. Now, when the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam said, Man salaka tariqan yatamisu fihi ilma, that whoever traverses a path in which he is seeking knowledge, he's speaking about knowledge of the deen, knowledge of the religion. Sahalallahu lahu tariqan al-jannah. Allah will make smooth for him and easy for him a path to the Jannah. Alright, so anytime the term ilm is used in the kitab and the sunnah and it's left like that, we're speaking about ilm al-shari, legislative knowledge. So what is intended by it here is al-ilm al-shari. لأنه هو الذي يجب تعلمه, because that is what is obligatory to learn. That is what is obligatory to learn. وهذه المسائل يجب تعلمها على كل مسلم ذكر أو أنثى حر أو عبد. He says, so that is that, or these issues, these affairs of knowledge, it is obligatory upon every Muslim to learn them, whether male or female, free person or slave, ghaniyun or faqir, whether a rich person or a poor person, whether it is a king or whether it is a pauper. No matter what the case may be, one must have knowledge of these issues if he is or she is a Muslim. كل مسلم يجب عليه أن يتعلم هذه المسائل الأربع. All Muslims must know and learn these four matters. وهذا ما يسميه العلماء بالواجب العيني. This is that which the scholars refer to as the individual obligation. The individual obligation, because obligations, as we're going to see, are of two types. Things that are obligatory are of two types. You have that al-wajib al-aini, that which is obligatory upon every single individual, and then you have al-wajib al-kifai, right, or that communal type of obligation that somebody amongst the community must fulfill it, otherwise everyone is sinful, and as long as someone amongst the community fulfills it, this removes the sin and the blame from everyone else in the community. Now, and so here he says that this knowledge that he's speaking about here, it is from that which is al-wajib al-aini, that individual obligation. Everyone must know it. It doesn't matter who you are. Certain things, there's no excuse for anyone not to learn and not to know. Now, he says that, now, so therefore it is obligatory upon every Muslim for salawat al-khams, وهو الذي يجب على كل أحد من المسلمين. He says this is what is obligatory upon every individual amongst the Muslims for salawat al-khams على الرجال والنساء. So the 5 prayers, they're obligatory upon every man and every woman. وصلاة الجمعة وصلاة الجماعة في المساجد على الرجال. The prayer in Jama'ah in the masajid, binding and obligatory upon the men. وهذا واجب على كل فرد من المسلمين أن يتعلمها. So this is what is obligatory upon every individual amongst the Muslims to learn. ولذلك قال يجب علينا. Due to this he said it is obligatory upon us. Right? He didn't exclude himself. Every single individual, he didn't say you or them or some of us, rather us. All of us must learn these issues. Now, he says, and so he means by way of us, it means معشر مسلمين, the body of Muslims. هذا من العلم الذي يجب تعلمه على أعيان. So this is that knowledge which is incumbent upon every individual to learn, because knowledge is قسمين. It is of 2 categories. القسم الأول, the first of them, ما يجب تعلمه على الأعيان, that which is incumbent upon every individual to learn. Every individual, again, male, female, young, old, whether you're in Baltimore or you're in Pakistan or you're in Saudi Arabia, doesn't matter where you are, who you are. Every Muslim must know them. Now, فَلَا يُعْذَرْ أَحَدٌ بِجَهْلِهِ. No one is excused due to his ignorance of these issues. وَهُوَ مَا لَا يَسْتَقِيمُ الدِّينُ إِلَّا بِهِ. And it is that which, the deen cannot be established except by way of it. Meaning you're not even a Muslim unless you have certain things with you. Right? You're not even unless you have certain things with you. Knowledge of the Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, knowledge of the Aqidah, knowledge of the meaning of La ilaha illallah, things like this. You must have knowledge and awareness of these issues. And then he mentioned by way of example the Arkan al-Islam al-Khamsa, the 5 pillars of al-Islam. The 5 pillars of al-Islam. And you'd be surprised how many Muslims who are in the Muslim world, who are in Muslim countries, they grow up Muslim. Now, they had no clue that Islam had 5 pillars to them. No clue that Islam has 5 pillars. Now, so these 5 pillars, and they are the 2 testimonies of faith, the Shahadatan, now the establishment of prayer, the payment of the zakat, Sawm Ramadan, Hajj Baytullah al-Haram, and the Hajj to the sacred house of Allah. La yajuzu li muslimin. It's not permissible for a Muslim to be ignorant of these things. بل لابد أن يتعلمها. Rather, it is a must that one learn them. You must have cognizance and awareness of these issues. لأن تعلم معنى الشهادتين إنما هو تعلم العقيدة. Because knowing and understanding the meaning of the 2 testimonies, this is knowledge of the creed, the belief system. What do you believe as a Muslim? What is it that you believe as a Muslim? Now, يتعلم المسلم العقيدة من أجل العمل بها. So the Muslim must learn the Aqidah in order that he can act upon that knowledge that he has. He learned the Aqidah when it comes down to Allah Azza wa Jal. Learn the right of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala upon him. And the likes of this, so that he can act upon that knowledge, worshipping Allah alone and avoiding polytheism. ويتعلم ما يضادها. He learns as well what is the opposite of that, what contradicts and opposes the sound Aqidah. Now, and this is from that which was being taught over the course of the weekend. People wonder why are these people being spoken about? Why do you guys speak about this group or that group? Why does why do you even have a topic like that for your conference? And we learn sound Aqidah, and we likewise learn what opposes the sound Aqidah. Right? عرفت الشر لا للشر لكن لتوقيه من لم يعرف الشر من الخير يقع فيه. As the poet says, I learn evil not because I want to do evil. I learn about evil in order to avoid it. For the one who does not know evil from good, he's bound to fall into it. He's bound to fall into it. Now, and this is the purpose of having these types of gatherings. So you learn sound aqidah, right? And you likewise learn what opposes that sound aqidah so that you can avoid it. You recognize it when you see it. Now, he says that هذا مضمون الشهادتين. This is that which the shahada or the two testimonies contains inside of it. كذلك يتعلم أركان الصلاة وشروط الصلاة. Similarly, the one learns the pillars of prayer and the conditions of prayer. وواجبات الصلاة, and the obligatory elements of the salah. وسنن الصلاة, he learns the sunan. And Sheikh Albani, he refers to the sunan of prayer. Because sometimes you hear the term sunan, sometimes you hear the word mukmilat, the things that make the prayer more complete, right? So that it has obligatory elements, has other elements that are not, your prayer is still valid without it, but it makes the prayer more complete, right? Having sound khushu' and everything like this, right? Now, so he says, ولا بد أن يتعلم بالتفصيل هذه الأمور. It is a must you learn these affairs with tafsir, with detail. You learn about your prayer in detail from A to Z, right? Learn everything that is connected to the prayer whilst you can worship your Lord properly. The prayer is obligatory. First thing you're going to be asked about Yawm al-Qiyamah, you know, you can just have like, you know, surface level knowledge about it. The very first thing you will be asked about in front of your Lord. Now, so you should have detailed knowledge regarding the salah, right? So it says you learn at tafsil, learn the details about these issues. ليس مجرد أنه يصلي وهو لا يعرف أحكام الصلاة. Not just that you pray without knowing the rulings that are connected to salah. You must know the rulings, what nullifies the prayer, what will make your prayer deficient, and the likes of that. Now, you must learn, and if prayer is obligatory, and it's the first thing you're going to be asked about in front of your Lord, then you must likewise know what is the key to salah, at-tahara, right? Purification and purity is the key to salah. The Prophet said, alayhi salam, miftah salat tahara, the key to the prayer is at-tahara. He says, وَتَحْرِيمُهَا التَّكْبِيرُ وَتَحْلِيلُهَا التَّسْلِيمُ. Right? The entry point of the prayer is at-takbir, Allahu Akbar. The exiting point of the prayer is at-taslim. And like this to the end of it. So you learn the prayer from beginning to end. Now, he says that not just that you pray without knowing its rulings. كيف يعمل الإنسان عملا وهو لا يعلم هذا العمل الذي يؤديه. So how can a person do an action but he does not know and have knowledge of his action that he intends to do? كيف يؤدي الصلاة وهو جاهل بأحكامها. How can he just pray while being ignorant of the rulings that are connected to prayer? فلا بد أن يتعلم أحكام الصلاة. So one must know the rulings of prayer ومبطلات الصلاة and what nullifies the prayer. ولا بد من تعلم هذا. So it is a must that one know these issues. العلم بالتعلم, as the hadith mentions. Knowledge is only by way of learning. You want knowledge, you have to learn, you have to study, you have to seek it, you have to pursue it. Not just, you know, it's not just wishful thinking. Knowledge is not just wishful thinking, right? And so, كذلك يتعلم أحكام الزكاة. Similarly, he learns the rulings of zakat. He learns the rulings of zakat. يتعلم أحكام الصيام, the rulings of fasting. يتعلم أحكام الحج, the rulings of pilgrimage. وإذا أراد أن يهج وجب عليه تعلم أحكام الحج وأحكام العمرة. So if a person intends to make pilgrimage, then he must learn about this affair he intends to embark upon. You want to make pilgrimage to the house of Allah, then study and learn the rulings of Hajj and Umrah. من أجل أن يؤدي هذه العبادات على وجه الشرع المشروع, in order that he can perform these acts of worship in the properly legislated manner. هذا قسم لا يعذر أحد بجهله. This category of knowledge, no one is excused to be ignorant regarding it, right? Whatever you intend to embark on, you want to get married, seek knowledge about the rulings of marriage, right? You want to divorce, seek knowledge about how to divorce properly, learn the rulings of divorce. Whatever you want to fast, seek knowledge about the rulings of fasting, Hajj, Zakat, whatever the case may be. Whatever you embark upon, seek knowledge, because knowledge precedes speech and action, as we're going to hear later in the book. Now, the second category of knowledge is ma zada an dhalik, that which is in addition to that. So you have the obligatory knowledge on every single individual. The second level is that which is beyond that. That which is beyond that. نعم من الأحكام الشرعية التي يحتاج أو تحتاجها الأمة بمجموعها. It is those legislative rulings that the entirety of the ummah in a general way is in need of. نعم وقد لا يحتاجه كل أحد. Perhaps every single individual doesn't need it necessarily. نعم such as the rulings of buying and selling, for example, the ruling of business transactions, والمعاملات, and social dealings and interactions. We're into that, other things we mentioned, and affairs like marriage, divorce, partnerships, things like this. Those legislative rulings connected to buying and selling and whatnot. These are that which is in addition to the individual obligation. Now, he says that وأحكام al-awqaf, rulings connected to endowments or religious endowments. A person donates money that is to be used for a specific purpose. It is for a masjid to be built. It is for this. It is for that. It's called waqf, right? Plural is awqaf, or religious endowments. والمواريث والوصايا, يعني inheritance and wills, right? This enters into that as well. Somebody must have knowledge of this within the ummah. He says that وأحكام الأنكحة, rulings related to marriage. أحكام الجنايات, ruling connected to criminal law in Islam. هذه لابد منها الأمة. The ummah must have someone amongst it who has this knowledge. لكن لا يجب على كل فرد من الأمة. But it is not binding upon every individual amongst the ummah. Right? It's not binding upon every individual amongst the ummah. It is specific to the one that it is specific to. Right? So a person may be excused, for example, like go back to what we mentioned previously, all right? A person having the knowledge of the rulings of marriage, for example. If you're not interested in marriage at all, then seek knowledge regarding something which is more of a priority to you. But when you decide to embark upon the issue of marriage, when you're ready to embark upon the issue of marriage, then, as we said, knowledge precedes speech and action. Go seek knowledge and learn the ahkam al-ziwaj, right? Don't do it or try to embark upon it, right, without any knowledge whatsoever. And this is how you find people fumbling and making mistakes and doing things, and you look up and they say, hey, is my marriage valid? Right? You didn't worry about that before you got married and had all these kids? Now you want to know if your marriage valid or not? You should have sought that before, because why? Now you have your 5, 6 kids in, and there's a question about the validity of your marriage and what's going to be the end result of it. What's the lazim of this knowledge? Because if you find out that your marriage was not valid from the beginning, what does that mean for your kids? What does that mean for your kids? Maybe not even yours, right? And so we seek knowledge before we embark upon something. And so he says that, but these are from those communal types of obligations. Now, so the ummah is in need of it. لكن لا يجب على كل فرد من الأمة أن يتعلمها. But it's not obligatory upon every individual amongst the ummah to learn. بل إذا تعلمها من يحصل به المقصود من العلماء كفى هذا. However, he says that, and if someone amongst the ummah learns it, by way of which the goal and the objective is met for the ummah, meaning somebody amongst the ulama, for example, amongst the students of knowledge, someone amongst those who are endowed with ilm, nam kafa hada. This is sufficient. ليقوموا بحاجة المسلمين من قضاء وإفتاح وتعليم وغير ذلك. He says, in order that this need is fulfilled for the Muslims, from things that are connected to judgments and iftah and issuing fatwa and teaching and the likes of that, you have someone amongst you that can fulfill the obligation for the Muslims, then this removes the blame from everyone else. هذا يسمى واجب الكفاية. This is what is referred to as الواجب الكفاية, right? The communal obligation. الذي إذا قام به من يكفي سقط به الإثم عن الباقين. And this is that which, if someone amongst the ummah fulfills it, then the sin is removed from everyone else. وإذا تركه الجميع أثموا جميعا. And if everyone abandons it, then everyone amongst that group is sinful. And this is that which shows, right, how Islam is a religion is built upon community, is built upon togetherness and unity, right? That we look out for one another. You notice that an obligation needs to be fulfilled for your community, then you step up and you fulfill it. You step up and you fulfill it. Now, and we don't just say somebody else is going to do it. And it's on any level that we're speaking about, whether it's something small for the masjid, right? Trash need to be taken out. Would everybody going to just walk by it? Everybody? And nobody's going to do it, right? So something that needs to be done for your community, somebody needs to step up and fulfill that obligation and fulfill the duty. This is how our religion is set up. This is how it is built upon community and togetherness and unity. فلا بد للأمة من أناس يتعلمون هذا القسم لأنهم بحاجة إليه. So it is a must that the people have someone step up and to learn this category of knowledge because the ummah is in need of it. لكن ما يقال لكل أحد أو لكل واحد. However, it is not to be said for every individual that it is obligatory upon you to have fiqh of these avenues and these issues, right? لأنه قد لا قد يتأتي أو يتأنى هذا لكل أحد, because perhaps this is not something which is it concerns every individual. It's not something which concerns every individual. إنما يختص هذا بأهل القدرة, but it is specific to the people of qudra, those who have the ability and the expertise to learn, and they have the capability of embarking upon this affair from the ummah. لأنه إذا تعلم هذا بعض الأمة قام بالواجب بخلاف القسم الأول. Because as long as someone from the ummah learns these things, then he has fulfilled that which is obligatory for his ummah. In opposition to the first category of knowledge, for every individual is going to be asked about that himself or herself. لأنه لا يمكن أن يعمل هذه الأعمال إلا من علم, because it is not possible to enact these issues except by way of knowledge, prayer, fasting, and the likes of this, right? It's not possible for you to pray unless you know how to pray, all right? You just be standing up there making movements. It's not possible for you to fast unless you know how to fast properly. Now, this is how you end up like the nation, right? And so we must have knowledge of these issues, everyone. ولهذا قال الشيخ يجب علينا. Due to this, the Sheikh said, obligatory upon us. He didn't say upon some of the Muslims or upon the Muslims. Rather, he said us, I ala kulli wahidin minna, upon every individual amongst us, wujuban ayniyan, as an individual obligation. ونعلم أيضا قبل الدخول في المسائل أن المراد بالعلم الذي يجب على الأمة إما وجوبا عينيا. He says, moreover, let us know, before we go into the actual issues themselves, that what is intended by al-ilm, that knowledge that is obligatory upon the ummah to learn, either an obligation that is an individual obligation or a communal obligation, is that it is al-ilm al-shar'i, right? The ilm al-shar'i, the legislative knowledge, has from it that which is an individual obligation and that which is a communal obligation, as we have established. Now, he says that, and that is that which the Messenger of Allah himself, alayhi as-salam, has brought, that which he came with, from the rulings that connect to the religion. Now, amma al-ilm al-dunyawi, as for dunyawi knowledge from dunya affairs, such as knowledge of agriculture and knowledge of crops and the likes of this, knowledge of mathematics, knowledge of physical fitness, and knowledge of engineering, then all of these branches of knowledge are permissible for us to learn. They are permissible branches of knowledge for us to learn. He says, Naam, walakin, أو يباح تعلمه, it's permissible to learn it, وقد يجب إذا احتاجت الأمة إليه, and perhaps it can possibly even reach the level of obligatory if the ummah is in need of it. If the ummah is in need of it. You look at things like medicine, for example, right? We have to have doctors amongst the ummah, right? We have to have doctors amongst the ummah. So someone must have knowledge of medicine. It's obligatory, right? It's a communal obligation. A communal obligation. Now, and so he says that, So it can perhaps even reach that level. But it is permissible, aslan, yani, for us to learn these types of things. I wanna, take a course in IT or something like this. I wanna learn, whatever the case may be. I wanna learn this. I wanna learn that particular science. Yani, then it is mubah. It is permissible for us to learn it, and it can perhaps reach the level of obligation if the ummah is in need of it. Now, however, ليس هو العلم المقصود في القرآن والسنة. But this is not the knowledge that is intended when the term knowledge is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. والذي أثنى الله تعالى على أهله ومدحهم. Nor is it that which Allah Ta'ala has praised and commended its people. And in many texts in the legislation in the Quran and the Sunnah, and nor is it that which the Prophet intended when he said, Al-ulama warathatul anbiya. Those who have knowledge are inheritors of the prophets. He's not speaking about knowledge of agriculture, knowledge of engineering, knowledge of technology, none of that. Right? Speaking about ilm al-shari. Now, amma al-ilm al-dunyawi. As for dunyawi knowledge, فَمَنْ جَهِلَهُ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. Whoever does not know it, he's not blameworthy, not sinful. Right? So we can't, criticize someone for not having a concern for learning certain affairs that are connected to affairs of the dunya, right? Financial affairs and things that are connected to livestock, animals, things connected to real estate. And like I said, this, you don't know about that, you don't know about this. All right, if a person knows it, okay, it's fine for him to know it. If he doesn't know it, he's not sinful, not blameworthy. Now, وإذا نفع به الأمة فهو مأجور عليه. So if a person does know it, it's permissible for him to learn it. And if it is something that ends up being beneficial for the ummah, he's going to be rewarded for learning it. He should be rewarded for learning it. Now, and he says, وَلَوْ مَاتَ الْإِنسَانُ وَهُوَ يَجْهَلُ هَذَا الْعِلْمِ. But if a person dies while being ignorant of this type of knowledge, لَمْ يُؤَاخَذْ عليه يوم القيامة. He's not going to be punished for not knowing it, يوم القيامة. This is in opposition to knowledge of Aqidah, for example. Knowledge of Aqidah, you're going to be asked about in the hereafter. You're going to be asked about it inside your grave when the angels make you sit up and question you. This is Aqidah. Who is your Lord? It's Aqidah. Right? Your creed, your beliefs. Who is your Lord? What was your deen? Who was your prophet? Right? It's knowledge of your creed, your belief system that you're going to be asked about. And if you answer the questions properly, najat, you're going to be saved. You'll be in a state of safety and security. If you fail that test and you don't answer these questions properly, you're going to be punished and tormented inside of your grave, and you're going to be punished likewise thereafter in front of your Lord. So no doubt, this is of extreme importance. فلو مات الإنسان وهو يجهل هذا العلم لم يؤاخذ عليه يوم القيامة. ولكن من مات وهو يجهل العلم الشرعي خصوصا العلم الضروري. But if a person dies while being ignorant of legislative knowledge, specifically that knowledge that is binding and obligatory and necessary, فإنه يسأل عنه يوم القيامة. He will be questioned about that يوم القيامة. لما لم تتعلم. Why didn't you learn? Why didn't you learn Tawheed? Why didn't you learn Sunnah? Why didn't you learn Shirk and thus you can avoid it? Why didn't you learn about these things? لماذا لم تسأل. Why didn't you ask and inquire about these issues? الذي يقول إذا وضع في قبره. For when a person is placed inside of his grave, Nam, and he says, Rabbi Allah, my Lord is Allah, wa Islam dini, Islam is my deen, wa Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and my prophet is Muhammad, hada yanju. This one is going to be saved. This one is going to be saved. Yuqalu lahu, it will be said to him, min ayna hasalta hada. Where did you get this knowledge from? He's going to say, qara'tu kitab Allah wa ta'allamt. He's going to say, I read the book of Allah and I studied it. I learned it. Al-ilm bi-ta'allum. Knowledge is by learning. He's going to say, I read the book of Allah and I learned it. أما الذي أعرض عن ذلك. But as for the one who turns away from this, knowledge, he says, فإنه إذا سئل في قبره فإنه يقول. When he is questioned in his grave, he's going to say, لا أدري. He's going to say, I don't know. I don't know. سمعت الناس يقولون شيئا فقلته. I heard the people saying something and I repeated what they said, right? And it doesn't matter if a person, he happens to have sat in a dars one day and he heard the answers, right? It's not like one of those, hey, what's the answer to question number 23? It's not that kind of test, right? You can't cheat on this one. It has to be here. It has to be embedded and ingrained inside of your heart. Nam has to permeate your being. You have to have knowledge of these affairs and not just surface knowledge. You learn it, you study it, you know the details, you know it front and backwards. Nam, and so otherwise you'll be like this individual. I heard the people saying something, so I said what they say. Right? He says that, and this is the munafiq, this is the hypocrite, right? And those who turned away from knowledge. This person, his grave will burst into flames. His grave will burst into flames. وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ وَيُضَيَّقْ عَلَيْهِ فِيهِ حَتَّى تَخْتَلَفْ أَضْلَاعُهُ. And his grave will be squeezed and become so tight, his ribs will interlace. They will cross one another. وَيُصْبِحْ فِي حَفْرَةٍ مِنْ حُفَرِ النَّارِ. And he's going to be inside. He's going to be inside of a pit from the pits of the hellfire. وَعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. لأنه ما درى وما تلا, because he didn't learn nor did he recite. He's going to say, or we said to him, لا دريت ولا تليت, that you didn't learn it, you didn't know it, nor did you recite, or ولا تلوت. The hadith comes both ways. نعم. فهو لم يتعلم ولم يقتدي بأهل العلم. So he didn't learn, nor did he take the example of the people of knowledge in this regard. وإنما هو ضائع في حياته, but he squandered and wasted his life. He squandered and wasted his life, not seeking knowledge, not learning, not giving due importance to learning the precepts of his religion. So he says that فهذا الذي يؤول إلى الشقاق وعياذ بالله. This is the one who will be in a state of misery, and the refuge is with Allah. فقوله العلم, so a statement knowledge, it is legislative knowledge that is required from us, jama'atan wa afradan, as a group and as individuals, Wa ma'rifatullah bi asma'ihi wa sifati, and that is knowledge of Allah with his names and his attributes. Wa ma'rifatu haqqihi alayna, knowing his right that he has upon us. Wa huwa ibadatu wahda, and that is that we worship him alone, not associating anyone or anything as a partner with him. فأول ما يجب على العبد هو معرفة ربه عز وجل وكيف يعبده. So the first obligation upon us is that we learn and that we know our Lord, and we know how to worship him properly. As we know, and we're going to stop here inshallah ta'ala, as we know, these three fundamental principles are based upon the questions we're going to be asked in our grave. Right? Who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is your prophet? Right? Because the three principles are what? Knowledge and awareness of Allah, knowledge and awareness of his prophet, knowledge and awareness of the deen of Islam with the evidences. It's the question we're going to be asked in the grave. This is what these principles are based upon. We're going to be asked, who is your Lord? And the intention behind who is your Lord, right, is not what you may think. Right? The intention behind the question, who is your Lord, is who is your ma'bud? What was your object of worship? Not just lordship in that sense of the word that we know what lordship is. Because lordship is creation, right? Its components are creation, right? One has to be able to create in order to be called a lord in that sense, right? Likewise, ownership, owning the heavens and the earth, owning the universe, and it's Allah Azza wa Jalla, he owns the universe. And likewise, command or at-tadabbur, management and control. These are the components of lordship. These affairs, even the pagans of the Quraysh knew this, right? The pagans of the Quraysh knew this. This is why Allah Ta'ala tells us about them, that if you were to ask them who is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, they're going to say Allah. They will say Allah. So if it's just about that, right, who is the creator, who owns the universe, everyone is going to be able to answer that question properly. Even some of the kuffar. But they're not going to be able to answer the question properly because that's not the intent, right? The intent, but behind who is your Lord, is who is your ma'bud. What did you worship? That's the intended meaning. Why do we say that's the intended meaning, right? Because the Rububiyyah or lordship, now it is understood at times to mean ubudiyah, right? Worship. And we have the narration of Adi ibn Hatim or Ibn Hatim, in which it was mentioned that when Allah Ta'ala has said inside of the Quran, they taken their rabbis and their monks as lords besides Allah, right? Abdullah ibn Salam, who was used to be a Jew and embraced Islam, what was his response? O Messenger of Allah, what? We did not used to worship them. Right? Allah said nothing about worship. He said they took their rabbis and their monks as lords besides Allah. But his response was, O Messenger of Allah, we did not used to worship them. It's an indication that lordship comes at times bearing the meaning of worship. Right? And the Prophet clarified, alayhi assalam, what was intended by lordship here. Right? In that verse, that their rabbis and their monks, they used to legislate and make things halal for them that Allah made haram, and make things haram that Allah made halal, and they would follow them in that. Did not y'all used to do this? And he said yes. He said that's your worship of them, right? That's your worship of them. And so this is why this knowledge is so important, ikhwa. Again, we're going to be questioned about this knowledge in our graves, and we're going to be made to account for it Yawm al-Qiyamah in front of our Lord. We'll stop here. We'll pick up tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, from the point wherein he defines this knowledge. وَهُوَ مَعْرِفَةُ اللَّهِ وَمَعْرِفَةُ نَبِيهِ وَمَعْرِفَةُ دِينِ الْإِسْلَامِ بِالْجَلَّةِ. We're going to go into that tomorrow, inshallah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.